So, is it that time in your life yet? Do you feel like your family is complete and you and your spouse want to not worry about changing that? Well, the decision can be difficult, but the recovery doesn't have to be. After your vasectomy, you gotta get testes. Doctors usually recommend a jockstrap and ice for your boys to help with comfort. Well, testes is the best of both worlds. This is for the man who is out on the go and needs to get things done. You get the ice packs from the freezer, strap up, and saddle up. The packs give you at least 20 minutes of comfort, even if you're just sitting around watching the game. And most important, guys, no wet spots. Put on the jockstrap under your briefs and go about your day. They come in 3 sizes, medium, large, and extra large to get your right fit. Now head on over to testes.com. That's TEST-EEZE.com. TEST-EEZE.com. Your wife is going to thank you for the snip, and your testes are going to be thanking me. Hello everyone, welcome to another exciting episode of Dayspring Discussions. I'm your host, Sean McGahee, and this is a show where we talk about movies, TV, sci-fi, fantasy, comic books. If you guys geek out about it, we're going to talk about it. You can listen to Dayspring Discussions on iTunes, YouTube, Podomatic, Patreon, Google Podcast, Amazon Music, wherever, guys. While you're there, go and rate, review, subscribe, then head on over to the Facebook group and the Twitter account and join in the discussions. Don't forget dayspringdiscussions@gmail.com, and you can find me personally, SlimDayspring12 on Twitter and Instagram. Well, hello everyone. It is a rainy Saturday morning here in Austin, Texas. A little gloomy, but that's all right. You know what I call these? I call these movie weekends, because that means instead of going outside and enjoying the nice weather, I have an excuse to stay inside and get caught up on all the movies or TV shows that are possibly in my streaming queues, because those tend to build up a little bit. This weekend I do plan on checking out Army of the Dead, the new Zack Snyder film, kind of on my to-do list. I think that's the only one really I'm zoned in to watch as well. Have a hankering for maybe some Star Wars too, so I might watch a little Star Wars this weekend. We'll see where it goes, guys. Of course, you know, it's the weekend, so I got to get stuff done around the house as well. We'll see how it goes. But if you are joining us for the first time, or if you're a long-time listener, changing up the format a little bit, here's how I'm going to try to format the show going forward. So I'm going to try to stick to Saturday or Sunday recording a podcast or recording an episode, and I'm going to talk about my top 3 stories for that week. Of course, you know, you can go online to the Facebook group, Twitter account, post your stories. I post my news stories, and I take the top 3 or my favorite 3 that I want to talk about for that week. Of course, you guys fire back on the social media accounts, dayspringdiscussions@gmail.com, or of course in the comments section wherever you're listening to this, and let's get discussing. Now, with this new format, I am also going to try to do some comics, or my favorite comics for the week that I've been reading. I always put the disclaimer, of course, you know, I grew up DC Marvel kid, so that's mainly what I read. Occasionally, I'll branch out into something else, but when I do, it's usually something that I'm already used to. Like, I keep up with the Power Rangers comic just because I don't think it's crap, and I like Power Rangers as a kid. You know, other things that I at least try and see. Hellboy, I try to keep up with Hellboy, because occasionally that's pretty good. But like I said, usually when I do my picks, it's usually the Marvel DC variety, because that's what I grew up on, that's what I know, and mainly that's what I like. However, this week, I did not get a chance to read the Marvel comics. I read some DC, but I did not read any of the Marvel comics yet. I'm planning on doing that. I was right in the middle of the newest issue of Daredevil when my computer started going on the fritz and I couldn't finish my digital reading. But so all I have for now is just Nightwing number 80 that I can recommend to you. Tom Taylor, my current favorite writer, jumped on this book. He's going to be doing a Superman book, which is not actually Superman, it's Son of Superman or whatever. It's Jonathan Kent coming up. But Tom Taylor is one of my current favorite writer right now, I think, in the business. He's done Nightwing now for a couple issues, just kind of starting his run. I'm really enjoying it. A lot of humor, a lot of fun, and Nightwing, Dick Grayson, one of my favorite comic book characters. So him writing Nightwing is just great, and that's what it comes down to. Especially in these days. I think with comic books, Tom Taylor, I've seen him write a couple different things, and I've always enjoyed his writing. Same thing with, like, say, Jeff Johns, one of my favorite writers of all time. Even though I don't enjoy, like, say, JSA or Shazam, he's written those books or those characters, and I've enjoyed them. So really, it's about following the writer, I think, more than the character nowadays. Even though there are characters that no matter what, I'm still going to keep up with them, like Superman, Batman, X-Men. No matter who's writing them, I always keep up because those are good characters to watch. So my only recommendation for this week is Nightwing number 80 by Tom Taylor. Check it out and fire back. Let me know what you think. Okay, so let's get to the news stories. I'm going to start off with the latest here. Yesterday, it was reported by Deadline that Henry Cavill is in talks to star in the upcoming Highlander reboot. Highlander, the highly cult-following sci-fi franchise based off the 1986 film starring Christopher Lambert and Sean Connery, went off and had several movie sequels, a TV show, an animated series, highly regarded in the fantasy and sci-fi community. So for those of you who aren't familiar with it, looking at IMDb, kind of giving you an idea of what the premise is of the first film, at least, was an immortal Scottish swordsman must confront the last of his immortal opponent, a murderous, brutal barbarian who lusts for the fabled prize. Basically what it is there's beings known as the Immortals. They live forever and they fight each other, and every time an immortal kills another immortal, that immortal becomes more powerful, and the phrase is, there can be only one. Now this one is going to be directed by John Wick director Chad Stahelski is his name. He directed the first couple John Wick films, so he's in talks to do this. I know for a while there Ryan Reynolds was looking to star in a Highlander reboot. Looks like they moved on. Maybe schedules didn't match up. Either way, it came out yesterday that Witcher and the Man of Steel himself, Henry Cavill, is in talks. Now it says it's in talks right now, which we're not sure. That means it's finalized. But if you jump on Henry Cavill's Instagram page, which I follow, he does mention it. So if nothing else, it is true. And usually when you hear a story like this where it says they're in talks, it means the studio wants him to do it and the star, Henry Cavill, wants to do the project. They just have to negotiate money and scheduling is what it is. So I'm excited for this. I'm not a huge fan of the Highlander franchise. I do think it's cool. I've watched all the movies. I never watched the show or the animated series back in the 90s, but I think it's a worthwhile franchise. I think that is worth rebooting, and it could be really cool with a more modern setting. Henry Cavill, now for those of you who have listened to me or know me, know I'm not a big fan of the Man of Steel, but I am a fan of Henry Cavill, and I did enjoy his interpretation of Superman, the way he played him. Like if you were to tell me that they were going to announce a Man of Steel sequel with Henry Cavill, but a different director besides Zack Snyder, I'd kind of be excited for it. If they were announced that Henry Cavill was, the next James Bond, I'd be excited about it. If they told me they were going to do a Man from U.N.C.L.E. sequel, great film, I'd be more than excited about it. And The Witcher, I watched season 1 on Netflix. I'm not going to watch season 2 just because, it was okay. I can see why people like it. I can see why there's a following. But Henry Cavill was probably the only reason I really watched that show, and he was great. Him and the minstrel that travels with him, if it was just the two of them, I would love it. It's the other storylines that I wasn't too crazy about in this series, but him and, his minstrel, I could watch just a whole series just on them and cut out everything else. But I feel like it's because of his role in The Witcher that helped, get people talking about him for this. I mean, look at him in The Witcher. He looks really good, with a sword, and looks badass. So, of course, Highlanders using all their swords, it makes sense. I guess. But it'd be really cool. And like I said, I am a fan of Henry Cavill. So when you take a good actor and put them in a good role or a good franchise, it's a good thing. Is what it comes down to. Now the director Stilinski had this to say about the project. Quote, "I've been a huge fan of the original property since I saw it in high school. Such great themes of immortality, love, and identity are all wrapped up in such colorful mythology. I can't think of a better property that gives the opportunity to create interesting characters, mythic themes, and action set pieces." Which he's right. Like I said, I'm not huge on the Highlander film series or the franchise as a whole, but knowing, just the general outline of it and what happens and what you can do with it, I think there is a lot you can do with the franchise with a director like Stilinski and, of course, Henry Cavill. I think it'd be something interesting. So him joining the project or possibly joining the project, I say yay. Henry Cavill, like I said, he's a talent. I think he's a great talent. So anything he does, I'm going to be highly supportive of it. Time for you guys to fire back. Let me know what you think about Henry Cavill. Possibly, we haven't said anything. Deals have been closed, and it's for sure now. But Henry Cavill being in a Highlander reboot, let me know. Oh, and yes, as of yesterday, I have downloaded and listened to the Queen song from Highlander, Princes of the Universe. Just a little inspired, what can I say? Alright guys, moving on to the next story we have. Came out a couple of days ago. So, DC Animation, a lot of the movies that they do, it's touch and go for me, honestly. I really enjoyed their DC shared animated universe they did for a couple of years there. I thought it was very well crafted and honestly better than what they were doing in the live action DC movies, actually. I really enjoyed that. The more recent ones, though, I know there was the Superman, Man of Tomorrow, and a few others. I haven't been a really big fan of since they ended the shared universe. I know they also have Batman The Long Halloween, which I'm a big fan of the original comic by Jeff Loeb and Tim Sale. So definitely going to check that out. I haven't looked at or watched the newest one, the Justice Society one. Of course, I'm going to check it out, but again, not excited to check it out. Much like there's a Batman 70s Kung Fu animated that came out. I didn't even bother with that one, honestly. So, like I said, touch and go when it comes to DC animation for me. But it looks like we're getting one of my favorite storylines coming up in animation form. Injustice, Gods Among Us, the popular video game, also has a comic book miniseries, not really a miniseries, but a comic book series based off the premise of the video game. And it looks like now we're going to get an animated feature. So in the special features coming up with Batman The Long Halloween Part 2, one of the things that the special feature is going to show is a look into the next upcoming DC animated film, Injustice, based off the video game and I imagine too the comic book series. This for me is exciting because I am a huge fan, not of the video game. I don't think I've ever even played the video game. I did go through and watch the cutscenes on YouTube to where the story I think is pretty solid, but I've never actually played the video game before. I actually own the video game. I think it was my brother-in-law and his girlfriend. They gave it to me because they got rid of their PlayStation or don't play it anymore. I think I have the actual game, but I still haven't actually played it. Not really my type of game. I know it's like a fighting, like Mortal Kombat style of video game. I don't play a lot of video games, but when I do, I'm more of like an epic quest kind of guy, like a Zelda or a Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. Those are more my cup of tea. The fighting games don't get really into as much, so I haven't really checked it out. But I have read all of the comic books, starting with the very first one that was written by Tom Taylor. Yes, that's where I actually got introduced to the writer Tom Taylor, my first little taste of him, and I've been a fan of his ever since. Now, I know throughout the series, Injustice 2, I think there was an Injustice 3 maybe, they switched writers a little bit, and I wasn't a fan of the other writer that wasn't Tom Taylor. Then Taylor came back, and of course the series got good again. So if they can take what Tom Taylor did in that series and turn it into animated form, love it. Absolutely. I'm excited for the storyline and see how they interpret it, because there's a lot of good philosophical questions in that comic book about, a superhero's role and what they should be doing or shouldn't be doing in society. The basic premise, for those of you who don't know, of the storyline is that the Joker kind of tricks Superman. I think he uses the Scarecrow's fear gas into thinking that Superman is fighting Doomsday, when in reality, he's beating up Lois Lane, his wife, who is pregnant with their child, kills them both, and also the Joker has hooked up some kind of timer or trigger to Lois Lane's heart to where when it stops, a nuclear bomb goes off in Metropolis. So Superman loses his wife, his unborn child, his city, his friends, these things that really he holds dear. And, it's kind of like, the old saying the Joker says, you're just one bad day away from being me. Well, that's what the Joker did. He gave Superman his absolute worst day, and Superman, in his rage, ripped out the Joker's heart. And that started a chain of events that goes from there, where Superman, in reality, loses his humanity. That's the kind of thing about Superman, is his parents, Lois, Jimmy, the people around him. He's a God-man who walks among us, who doesn't want to rule, but just wants to help. And that's, part of to do with his connection with humanity. And in this, it strips away so much of what connects him to humanity that he starts to become more of a dictator. And it's Batman and, a few others that kind of oppose him in that regards. So the superheroes are kind of split in their own DC civil war. And it gets deeper and deeper and really, really good storytelling. Again, if you haven't checked out the comic book series, I highly recommend it. Maybe eventually one of these days I will get around to doing the video game or playing the video game. I doubt it though, even though it's sitting right below my TV and my PlayStation. We'll see how that goes. But Injustice, like I said, I'm excited because I enjoy the DC animated movies for the most part. Like I said, it depends on who's directing, how it goes, the animation, all that stuff. But the fact that they're taking this and adapting it to a animated movie, because I don't think it would really work live action, to be honest. I really don't. I think animated would be great. Another classic DC storyline that I really want to do animated is Kingdom Come, the Mark Waid storyline. Because again, that's one I don't think would really work well live action, but I think it would work really well as a DC animated film. I hope this is good. I hope, there's more good stuff to come. I would love to see, some of the voice casting as far as familiar. You don't have to go back to the Bruce Timm stuff with Kevin Conroy and Tim Daly, but if you brought back the cast from the DC shared animated universe, that'd be cool in my eyes. But you guys let me know what you think. Of course, fire back, Facebook group, Twitter, Gmail. Let me know. Injustice, animated movie on the way. What do you think? Alright guys, and the last story for today I'm going to cover is the new Snake Eyes, or first trailer, for the Snake Eyes G.I. Joe Origins film. Now this came out, I believe it was Sunday night. Last week we got a poster, I think it was Friday or Saturday we got a poster. So we knew a trailer was probably shortly coming. The film is set to come out July 23rd, so coming up soon. Now this is of course Paramount's and Hasbro's attempt to reboot the G.I. Joe movie franchise. The first couple ones, the first one I know was with Channing Tatum. The second one starred Dwayne Johnson. Neither one of those was really great in my eyes. So just give you a little history as far as my experience with the G.I. Joe franchise. I grew up in the 80s, so Hasbro, Transformers, G.I. Joe, I liked them, but I wasn't a huge fan of them. I know my brother was way into Transformers and had quite a few Transformers toys. I had a couple G.I. Joes, but the Transformers animated movie and the G.I. Joe animated movie are top notch. Okay, I love those movies. Even though I'm not a huge fan of the actual television series of both of them, I think both of them are great, phenomenal. I think it was just this last Christmas I got the G.I. Joe animated movie as a gift on Blu-ray. And I think Christmas Day I sat and I watched it, and I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed the storyline, of course. So I like the G.I. Joe franchise. I'm not a huge fan, but I enjoy it, of course. Those last, live action films, those were not G.I. Joe, especially that one with Channing Tatum and Marlon Wayans. That was not G.I. Joe. But It is a recognizable IP, so of course it's something of value to the studios and hopefully something they can build off of. And that's what they're hoping with this. Take a character like Snake Eyes, who is a popular G.I. Joe character, and, kind of start with him and build from that. Now, when they said they were going to do a Snake Eyes movie, I was a little bit bewildered because Snake Eyes, for the most part, is a very silent character. So, having a character that doesn't say much, building a film around that, it could be a little more difficult. But I knew they weren't going to keep him silent because he was going to star as this one. Now, they went out and got Henry Golding to star as the lead character, Snake Eyes. He is known for films such as Crazy Rich Asians. He was in The Gentleman, A Simple Favor, and then that movie with Emilia Clarke, Last Christmas. I didn't see that one, but I saw the other three. And he's a good actor. I think he's got a bright future ahead of him. I wouldn't say I'm a fan of his, but I think he's going to do okay. Now, the director, Robert Schwitzky, is that how you say it? Possibly how you say it. He has done films such as R.I.P.D. with Jeff Bridges and Ryan Reynolds, Time Traveler's Wife, Flight Plan, The Family Jewels. Not great films, except for The Time Traveler's Wife. I'm a fan of that. Oh, he also did Red with Bruce Willis. Yes, he did that too. So he's a pretty decent director, actually. So I think it could be pretty good. It's definitely in good hands as far as a solid director with that. I'm not expecting, MCU Captain America Winter Soldier level quality, but from this trailer, it looks like it's going to be entertaining. However, I do think I would have been more excited watching this little 1-minute teaser trailer if just a couple weeks ago we hadn't got Marvel's Shang-Chi trailer. Because, Shang-Chi had a lot of martial arts and fighting and stuff like that. That's a lot of what this trailer was. And when you look at them, watch one and then watch the other, it's both a lot of martial arts. This one talking about how Snake Eyes, or the character Snake Eyes, is trying to protect the world against evil ninjas, and he's part of good ninjas. And, of course, you have Storm Shadow in there, which is Snake Eyes' arch rival. You also have Scarlet and the Baroness, which you see in the trailer too. So those are the 4 primary G.I. Joe characters. From IMDb, it looks like those are the ones that you're going to see mainly throughout the series. Now, I know Hasbro and Paramount are looking for this to, again, reinvigorate a G.I. Joe film franchise, on the levels of the MCU, but I don't know. We'll see how this one goes. The teaser looks cool. The main character, or the main actor, Henry Golding, I think is solid. Again, it looks cool. It's just, having seen the Shang-Chi trailer with a lot of martial arts and action, seems very similar as far as trailer-wise to this martial arts trailer that we got. So, just tempered my my excitement just a little bit, having just seen a similar trailer a few weeks ago. But I am going to go see this because, like I said, I am curious about the project. I'm excited for the project, and we'll see where it goes. This comes out July 23rd. Shang-Chi doesn't come out September, so it does have that going for it. But you guys fire back. Let me know, how big a G.I. Joe fans are you? Are you excited for Snake Eyes? Fire back. Facebook group, Twitter account, Dayspring Discussions at gmail.com. And that is going to be it for me this week, guys. So like I said, hopefully I can continue to follow this format. Saturdays, Sundays, report on a couple of stories for the week, and kind of do that from now on. Life changes, schedules change. I can't say I'm going to do this every week, but I'm going to try to be more consistent with it as far as that goes. And you guys, of course, fire back. Continue to add your stories to the social media groups, of course, and everyone continue to discuss them, and we'll have a nice little happy community here. So that's going to be it. Like I said, you can find me personally, Slim Dayspring 12 on Twitter and Instagram. That's going to be it, guys. Go out, enjoy your week, enjoy your lives, and until next time, may the Force be with us all.